every brother that's caught in the crossfire. That's caught in the crossfire. This could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
Hello, my name is Naraika Betty Alias from Faculty of Art, Computing and Creative Industry.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Azim bin Bahruddin. I'm from Faculty Industry Computer and Industry Creative.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Hazi. I am from Faculty of Arts, Computing and Creative Industry.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Kala binti Muhammad from Faculty FSKQ.
Hi, today we are going to talk about our first game, the Maze Runner. Lari!
This is a classic mode. I have changed the original coding to a classic mode. Classic mode is a maze game to choose the way and reach the finish. The path of each game is not easy, so players need to find every correct way to get to the finish. Import Pygame. It automatically import all the modules that are in the Pygame module as well, such as Pygame image and Pygame music. There's no need to import this module inside a module with additional import statement. This coding value is known as the alpha value or RGB values and the color I had to use. This class represents the bar at the bottom that the players controls. This coding is for constructor function. Okay, this coding is called the parents constructor. This coding is made our top left corner the pass in location. This definition change is for change the speed of the player. It's called with the key press. This coding, the definition move is for find a new position for the player. This coding did this update cause us to hit a wall. This coding is for the item we hit. This coding is for move or up and down. This coding is for check and see if we hit anything. This coding is for reset our position based on the top or bottom of the object. This is the class-based class for our rooms. This is all the classroom that this is script all the walls in room. This coding to close the road rather than going to the next wall because the original coding is the way to the next room. This coding is to create a wall. I have changed the color to orange. This function need to be called in advance to many Pygame function work. This is the function how wide and how high to make the window in pixel. The function to set the title in the window. We can change the title using the set caption function. This coding is to determine where the player is starting. This coding is to set the type of writing and the goal after winning this game. This is the victory. This coding is to create a new clock object that can be used to track an amount of time. This is the loop until the user click the close button. This is for main program loop. This coding is get even from the quit even loop. This coding for this block is to get the state of all keyboard buttons. This coding is to determine the space for the goal page. When the player has entered the goal, the player will win. This coding is to determine the background color. I have changed the color to black. This coding Pygame display flip is to update the full display surface to the screen. This coding is game doesn't run faster than 60 frames per second. This last coding is to uninitialize all Pygame modules.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello to all. In the challenge mode, there was inverted Pygame, imported Pygame model into my code, and the color was used is black 000, white 255, 255 and 255. For blue color 00, 255, green 0255 and 0. Red 255, 00, purple 255, 00 and aqua 00, 255, and deep pink is 255, 00. I have set this with 800 and 600 on screen. Class 1 has been treated to create wall. Wall has been given with can be penetrated by player. Then the class player has been created by putting the player's feature that can has been created can not penetrate the wall and has a height length of 15. The color player is white. Player has been programmed to aggregate using key up and key down. Then classroom has been created to allow the player to go from the room to the first room in the first room. The screen has been divided into two, blue for start and red for finishing. The white line is used to cover the other wall and to get the room into two parts. A second room, the wall arranged in a rectangle that is getting smaller and has a space between each wall, but the space that does not allow the player to pass it. The player should choose the right path and not easily deceived by the space provided. The color of the aqua and the pink are used to make room look cheerful. Chain are set as maze runner so player know which type of game to play. 1 and 2 rooms are created, and the player has also been set to move in all directions in the form of 2D. The first room has been fixed when the player crosses the coordinate x equal to 0. Player will be at x to 800 in room 2, and when the player is moving x equal to 0 in room 2, the player will return to x equal to 800 in room 1, and can end the game with shaded the red in the middle of the screen. Background screen is set to black, so when the sprite player move will not left the impression white on the screen. Clock tick is set to speed 16, so the sprite is not too fast and not too slow. Finally, Pygame quit. Pygame.quit has been created, so the screen is always open when the player plays the game.
Hi, my name is Haziq and I am going to talk about my first game, The Maze Runner. Firstly, I am going to talk about my room. Import Pygame. This is to import the Pygame module so that the program will run using Pygame. This is the colors that are assigned to be used in the game. There are many colors because each level has multiple colors. I have set the screen size at 800 by 600 pixels because I think it is the most ideal screen size for small games like Pygame. This class is for the little box that the player controls. This is the constructor function. This is to call the function. This makes the wall of the size specified in the parameters. This sets the starting point of the sprite. This sets the speed vector for the player. This calls the parents constructor. This changes the speed of the player. It is called with a key press. This finds a new location for the sprite. This line checks for collision between the sprite and the wall. If the sprite is moving right, this line sets the right to the left side of the item. This checks if the player hit anything. This resets the player position based on the top or bottom of the object. This is the base class for all rooms. This line creates the list for the maze walls in the room. This is the code block for the menu screen. This line is to make the new walls for the menu screen. This is a list of walls. Each is in form of X, Y, width and height. This line loops the list and adds the wall to the list. This is where the code for my level begins. This room is called the invisible room. This block creates all the walls in the maze. It is the longest part of the code because one line of code is needed for every wall that I want to make. This is the class for my room. This is a list of walls, each in the form of X, Y, width and height. This is the loop to create the wall and add it to the wall list. Lastly, the victory room. This is the class for the victory room. This is again a list of walls, each in the form of X, Y, width and height. This is the loop to create the wall and add it to the wall list. Now for the main program, my game is initialized. The screen is set at the same size as the previous screens. This line sets the window caption to the name of the game. This block is to create the player's sprite. This block is for the menu screen where the names of the room are displayed. This block is for the program to determine the number of the rooms. This block is the event processing block to use the keyboard to move the sprite. This block is used for displaying text for the player by checking the current room number. Lastly, the game logic block. This block is used to set the player on the correct room by checking the current room number and then display the next room accordingly. This block is for all the drawing that is needed to run the game properly. The final block consists of the usual display flip to update the screen. The clock tick is set at 60 to cap the frames per second and pygame.quick to exit the game properly.
Battle mode. Play has to pass 2 mazes instead of 1 to get to the next maze. Play have to find a portal that brings them from the blue zone to the red zone. Not all the portal work. Play have to test each portal to know which portal was work and which does not. This may be challenge to some players. First is import Pygame. Import Pygame is a simple importer statement that import the Pygame module so that our program can use the function in them. Pygame init is a Pygame init function call that always need to call it after importing the Pygame module and before calling any other Pygame function. Screen. This is a call to the Pygame display set mode function, which returns the Pygame surface object for the windows. This is tell the set mode function that height and weight of window surface in pixel. Pygame display set caption. Set the caption that will appear at the top of window by calling the Pygame display set caption function.
Character. I use the same character like the original game with the same size and white color and where the player is starting in this game. Wall. This coding is to set the size, height, weight and where is the wall is located. I made different when I made the wall for the maze other than the original. I have added a lot of wall to make the game challenging. So it's not easy for player to play and I made the game have two parts with the same wall and size from the blue zone to the red zone. And there are some portal rooms that the player have to choose to enter the red zone. Keyboard. This coding is to set the movement button in this game and we use the left, right, up, down arrow button. This so it's easy for player to move in the character and play the game. Victory. This coding is for the room that display in the victory screen. When the player get to the final point, player will automatically enter the victory room. When the player enter the room, it means the player has passed the level. Screen fill. Set the screen background black. Tiger and draw red. A rectangle is shape made up by only flat side. The surface and color parameter tell the function on what surface to draw the rectangle and what color to make it. Tiger display update. Tiger display update is make the display surface actually appear on the user monitor.
This could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us. So back to what I was saying. Could be us.
Thank you for watching and happy Ramadan to you, Sir Ismail.